After a titanic legal battle costing millions of pounds, Prince Harry and 6 other claimants lost their privacy case against Associated Newspapers yesterday, the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. The judge dismissed the case after the claimants, which also included Elton John and Liz Hurley, failed to prove the allegations of information gathering by deception. Afterwards, Prince Harry called the judgment an obvious whitewash. The former Daily Mail editor and editor-in-chief of publishers A&L, Paul Dacre, released a statement following the judgment, which expressed some sympathy for Harry.
I feel sorry for the way a confused and angry young man has been drawn into this case. The truth is that this trumped-up action, which has cost well over £50 million and wasted a huge amount of valuable court time, should never have been brought to trial.
Well, that was the former Daily Mail editor, Paul Dacre. Kate Mansey, the royal editor of The Times, joins us now. Good morning.
Morning, Kate.
So the case was dismissed. In fact, all of the allegations were dismissed. What did the judge say? What was the final ruling?
Well, there was a 436-page judgment handed down digitally yesterday. Nobody had to be in court. But it found ultimately that Harry and the 6 other claimants had lost on all counts. So this was a comprehensive win for A&L, the publishers of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday. And the judge found that Harry had given limited evidence on the issues basically at the heart of the case, and he'd strayed beyond factual evidence. They hadn't really proved their claim that these stories that they'd presented to the court had been obtained through bugging or hacking, which was at the heart of the legal action. The judge said that the Duke and the other claimants were then open to criticism for the way they pursued what were essentially extremely serious allegations about senior staff. When he talked about the people who'd given evidence, he described them, the journalists, as honest witnesses. He described some of them as impressive in the way that they answered the questions. And the evidence of a private detective who allegedly forged statements led to Harry, Elton, Lawrence and Elizabeth Hurley joining the action was comprehensively undermined during the course of the trial. So it was a real sort of slam dunk, if you like, for Harry and the 6 others in a resounding defeat. Ultimately, what's been the end of a 4-year legal battle, and also the culmination of a series of litigations that Harry's brought against the British press.
Which, Kate, as you lay it all out there, it does make you wonder, and this is a hugely costly trial, how on earth did it get this far?
Well, that's exactly Paul Dacre's point of view there. We heard a clip of that, didn't we? The editor-in-chief of Associated Newspapers Limited. He described it as a trumped-up action, should never have been brought to court. He said that ultimately it was a conspiracy, he described it as, funded by Hacked Off, and an attempt to get a kind of Leveson 2 initiated. But he said that the victory was a victory for the free press more generally, not just for his newspaper group.
Just finally, I mean, Prince Harry is obviously here in the UK. He wants to talk about the Invictus Games, but this is a major distraction for him. He's called it a whitewash. Where does this leave his reputation?
Yeah, it was so awkward yesterday. He was at Chatham House just about to deliver a speech when he would have got the news coming through there. So he was almost live on stage. He looked quite shaken. And then we saw his barrister, David Sherborne, turning up in a car and kind of running into the side of the building, presumably to have a private chat about the outcome. Now, where does this leave Harry? It's so hard to tell. He's supposed to be here to build enthusiasm around his Invictus Games tournament, which will come to Birmingham in 2027, and yet he's now accusing the court essentially of a whitewash. We've seen it before when he had his defeat last year against the Home Office. He described it as a good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up, if you remember. So he's not somebody to take defeat on the chin. So we might see more of that. Who's to say he might do an interview at some stage?
Well, I know that you will have your hand up for that, Kate. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That is Kate Mansey, the royal editor of The Times.
It's actually laughable. He's an actual prince. He is literally a part of the British establishment by virtue of an accident of birth. He couldn't be more British establishment if he tried, literally by birthright. And so when thing goes against him, all of a sudden the establishment is to blame.
Do you know what this makes me think about is, and Paul Dacre reflected it a little bit, that this is obviously Prince Harry's obviously a man who feels deeply hurt and he feels a real sense of injustice. He's not doing it for fun. He's doing it because he really genuinely believes that he's been wronged. And it's that idea of your decisions being driven by your emotions and how often that doesn't necessarily go well for you. Yeah. I just wonder how he moves from here, how Prince Harry moves from here, because even, and we didn't really get to talk to Kate about it, but even the row about staying at Buckingham Palace, I mean, there are some people who see that as, you know, this is your dad, you should put your son up. And there are others who think Prince Harry's used every opportunity to wring, you know, coverage and content out of what should be a private family moment. And
I want to be fair to him, because I think there's lots of reasons to criticise Harry. His childhood was ruined by the death of his mum. He has a very difficult relationship with the press in this country for a very understandable reason on his part. He also reads comments below articles, which is an act of madness if you're a figure in the public. So I understand that he's angry and sad and hurt, and you make decisions based on that. And I think we should have that context. It's easy to laugh at him sometimes, and I do it a bit, because of the ridiculousness of the whole Harry and Meghan circus. But if you take it back to an 8-year-old lad or whatever he was, his world falls in. The whole world is talking about his world falling in.
I mean, that just must be absolutely brutal.
So I do try and keep that in my mind as we try and, as we, you know, because he did go after these papers and he has lost, and they're right to say you came after us and you've got to wear that, and you're going to cost them a lot of money. But there is just something there where you think, I can probably understand why he's not necessarily grown up with an entirely, completely balanced set of views on the world when we saw what happened to him.
Prince Harry and 6 other claimants have lost their High Court privacy case against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. The judgment was handed down remotely whilst Prince Harry was at Chatham House in London, speaking about his forthcoming Invictus Games. Prince Harry has called the ruling a complete and obvious whitewash, saying it's a reversal of the position judges have taken previously. Paul Dacre, the editor-in-chief of Associated Newspapers, posted his reaction to the verdict on social media.
Make no mistake, this was a conspiracy supported by Hacktoff to destroy a paper, financed by the orgy-loving racist Max Mosley and involving the actor Hugh Grant. It was also a sinister bid to resuscitate Leveson 2.
Well, that was the reaction from Paul Dacre. David Brown, chief news correspondent of The Times, has been in court. Good evening to you, David.
Hello, Carole. I was in court for 46 days. This was a remote judgment from Mr. Justice Nicklin today. It was a damning judgment. In football analogy, this was 10-0 to the publisher of the Daily Mail. Harry and the other celebrities, Elton John, Liz Hurley, Sadie Frost, and others, lost on every single claim.
And what were the grounds for the judge making that finding? Because clearly they had all given incidences of stories that they believed had been obtained illegally.
You're right, Carole. They made claims of dozens of articles must have obtained unlawful information. What they were unable to prove is that a single one of them actually were the result of phone hacking, blagging, subterfuge. And this is what the judge has said. There wasn't any evidence of unlawful wrongdoing. And in fact, the journalists involved had explanations as to where that information came from. I mean, Harry's right. He won a case against the publisher of the Daily Mail. The publisher of The Sun reached an out-of-court settlement. This was against a totally different newspaper. And you've heard Paul Dacre say how damaging it's been to that title and to its journalists. And this judgment completely vindicates them.
And for Prince Harry, of course, as you say, there have been these long-running legal battles. Is this the end of the road now? Does he simply have to accept that these legal battles about his privacy, that he has now lost and there's nowhere further he can take it?
The extraordinary comments from Harry, and in conjunction with Baroness Lawrence of Clarendon, who is the mother of Stephen Lawrence, the boy who was murdered in a racist attack and for which the Daily Mail played a key role in getting the conviction of their killers, their statement describing this as a whitewash, I think, is an indication they might consider an appeal. I've got to be honest, Carole, I've never heard a losing party in a High Court case come out with such extraordinary condemnation of a very senior judge. It really is astonishing. So my guess is at this stage they are planning to go to appeal and this case will carry on.
David Brown, Chief News Correspondent of The Times. Really good to speak to you tonight. Thank you so much.